Come with me this morning to the gospel according to Matthew. Matthew chapter 9. We're going to look at verses 27 through 29. Matthew chapter 9, verses 27 through 29. When you found it, can you say amen? Amen. I'll read it for your hearing. Matthew 9, 27 through 29 says, when Jesus departed from there, two blind men followed him, crying out and saying, Son of David, have mercy on us. And when he had come into the house, the blind men came to him. And Jesus said to them, do you believe that I am able to do this? They said, yes, Lord. Then he touched their eyes, saying, according to your faith, let it be to you. I want to read verse 29 one more time. It says, then he touched their eyes, saying, according to your faith, let it be to you. Before you take your seats, can you do me a favor? Turn to your neighbor, the person to the left or to the right of you, and say, neighbor, this morning, the preacher is getting ready to preach about faith in the dark. Amen. Faith in the dark. Brothers and sisters, it is apparent to me that life is full of dark moments. Death is a dark moment. Cancer is a dark moment. Eviction is a dark moment. Layoffs are a dark moment. Prison is a dark moment. A pandemic is a dark moment. Heartbreak is a dark moment. Disabilities are dark moments. Depression is a dark moment. Suicide is a dark moment. Anxiety is a dark moment. And abuse of any kind is a dark moment. And normally when we are in the midst of these dark moments, naturally it will trigger the fear in us. But if you are a believer, you must remember that God has not given us the spirit of fear, but God has given us a spirit of faith. So when we are dealing with these dark moments, I want you to know that we ought not have fear, but we should have some faith. In other words, when you come to these dark moments, you should not have fear in the dark, but you ought to have some faith in the dark. Because fear will only keep us down while faith will get us delivered. And I'm just wondering this morning if I have anybody in Jericho that came to church with a made up mind that you're going, amen, to have faith in the dark. Because when you have faith in the dark, you can testify that even though you're sick, God is able. Even though you're hurting, God is able. Even though you've lost a loved one, God is able. Even though you've lost your job, God is able. Even though you're getting a divorce, God is able. Even though you're struggling in school, God is able. And even though you've made so many mistakes, God is still able. Is there anybody in here that can testify that you're going to have faith in the dark? I come by to tell you, despite what you're dealing with in the dark, if you have faith, you will force the Father to discharge you from the dark. Is there anybody in here glad glad to know that the Lord is able to bring you out of the dark and place you where he wants you to be. Anybody in here gonna have faith in the dark? And so, as we come to our text this morning, we see that that's exactly what Matthew is mentioning. Here in Matthew chapter 9, verses 27 through 29, we see that in order for you to have faith in the dark, then you must be able to put your faith on display in the dark. I got three things I want to tell you this morning, and then I'm going to let you go. Firstly, if you're going to have faith in the dark, you got to demonstrate your faith. Look at verse 27. It says, when Jesus departed from there, two blind men followed him, crying out and saying, Son of David, have mercy on us. Currently in the text, we are shown that if we're going to have faith in the dark, then we need to demonstrate our faith. And as we approach our text today, we find Jesus and two blind men. And according to the text, Jesus had just finished performing two miracles. Bible lets us know previously that the first miracle he performed was for a woman with an issue of blood. And the second miracle he performed was for a daughter of the ruler of the synagogue. Now, this is important and imperative for us to know, because it was after these miracles took place that the word started to spread about what Jesus had done. So much so that it obviously caught the ears of these two blind men. Because the Bible allows us to see here presently that despite their deficiencies, they still demonstrated their faith. It's right here in the text. Look at the A portion of verse 27. It says, when Jesus departed from there, which means that he was passing. But after he passed, the B portion of verse 27 says that the blind men followed him, which means that after he passed, they pursued. But then after they pursued, the C portion of verse 27 says that they were crying out and saying, which means that they not only pursued, but then they also made a petition. But after they made a petition, the D portion of verse 27 says that they called him Son of David, which means that after they pursued him and petitioned him, they recognized his person. And finally, after they recognized his person, the E portion of verse 27 says that they said, have mercy on us, which means that they wanted him to provide. Now let's look at it. As Jesus was passing, the blind men pursued him and petitioned him because they believed that based upon his person that he was able to provide. And this is a true demonstration of faith, because these men never have seen Jesus, but they still decided to show their belief in Jesus, which should submit to us today that if we truly believe in the essence of Jesus, then we ought not mind exemplifying our belief in Jesus, because when we do this, it shows him how bad we really need him. And is there anybody in here today that's gonna make it up in your mind to demonstrate your faith? Because when you demonstrate your faith, it shows the Lord that you need a miracle. It shows the Lord that you need a blessing. It shows the Lord you need a breakthrough. And it shows the Lord that you need him to come to your rescue. Is there anybody in here that is going to demonstrate your faith? But then, secondly, you're going to have faith in the dark Not only do you have to demonstrate your faith, secondly, you have to declare your faith. Look at verse 28 says, and when he had came into the house, blind men came to him, and Jesus said to them, do you believe that I am able to do this? And they said, yes, Lord. In this part of the text, Jesus and these blind men are beginning to have an encounter. For they followed Jesus into a house, and after they all entered the house, Jesus turned to them and asked them a question. He said, do you believe that I am able to do this? Now, he said this in response to their previous requests for mercy. And the curious question of the day, Pastor Petty, is why would Jesus ask them if they believed when their actions already indicated that they do believe? I say this because if Jesus knows all and sees all, then why would he ask a question he already knows the answer to? Well, church, one thing we must understand about the Lord is that whenever he asks a question, he's not asking for the purpose of information, but he's asking for the purpose of interrogation. In other words, he's not asking because he doesn't know, but he's asking because he wants to hear what we know. Do you remember he asked Adam, where are you? He asked Abraham, is there anything too hard for God? He asked Jacob, what is your name? He asked Ezekiel, can these bones live? He asked Malachi, will a man rob God? He asked Saul, why are you persecuting me? He asked the disciples, who do men say that I, the Son of Man, am? And he asked that man at the pool, do you want to be made whole? I come by to tell you, he doesn't ask because he doesn't know, but he asks because he wants to hear what we know. And I'm so glad today because I love these blind men in the text because they didn't have to think about it. They didn't stress over it. They didn't second guess it, but they simply answered him and said, yes, Lord. And I don't know about you, but I believe that somebody in here today is one yes, Lord, away from getting what the Lord has for you. All you got to do is give him confirmation and he will change your entire situation. Is there anybody in here that's going to declare your faith? Because when you declare your faith, it lets the Lord know that you trust in him. It lets the Lord know that you got confidence in him. It lets the Lord know that you are relying on him, and it lets the Lord know that you are counting on him. Is there anybody in here that's going to declare your faith? I come by to tell you, if you gonna declare it, do me a favor, turn to your neighbor and say, neighbor, I got a word for you. And neighbor, this is your word. Can't nobody do me like Jesus. Can't nobody hold me like Jesus. Can't nobody keep me like Jesus. Can't nobody rock me like Jesus. Can't nobody heal my body like Jesus. Anybody in here needs something for the Lord? Well, you better declare your faith. You got to declare your faith. Well, try to tell you two things. And that is that if you're going to have faith in the dark, then you got to demonstrate your faith. But then secondly, going to have faith in the dark, you have to declare your faith. But then thirdly and lastly, and I'm done, you're going to have faith in the dark, then you have to watch the Lord deliver you because of your faith. Look at verse 29. It says, then he touched their eyes, saying, according to your faith, let it be to you. Jesus does two things as he delivers these men. Firstly, he gives them an action because he touches their eyes. But then he gives them an affirmation because he tells them, according to your faith, let it be to you. You see, the only way that these men would be truly delivered because of their faith is because Jesus' word worked in concert with their faith. You see, if you have the faith, then he truly has the power. And I come by to tell you today that Jesus is able to reward you for your faithfulness. You see, all they had to do was show him that they had some faith. And once they showed him that they had some faith, he was able to do what they needed him to do. And I don't know who I'm talking to in here today, but I just come to tell you all you need is some faith. Your faith don't have to be a big faith. You just need to have some faith. Even if you got some little faith, you still serve a big God. And he's able to do exceedingly, abundantly, above all that you can ask or think. Come on to tell you, Bible lets us know that without faith, it is impossible to please the Lord. I don't know who I'm preaching to, but you gotta have some faith. Because faith not only moves mountains, but faith also moves the master. Come by to tell you, yes, you ought to have some faith. Because your faith will reach heaven. And when the Lord sees your faith, he will reward you because of your faith. Amen. I come by to tell you, faith will turn your situation around. Faith will get your body healed. Faith will get you that job. Faith will put your kids through school. Faith will help you get to where you need to be. Is there anybody here that's got some faith? Amen. I come by to tell you the reason why you gotta have faith. It is because Jesus, he had faith in you. Yes, he did. Is there anybody in here that know Jesus had faith in you. What you talking about? Well, let me say it like this. I was sinking deep in sin, far, far from the peaceful shore, very deeply stained within, seeking to ride no more. But the master of the sea, he heard, yeah, he heard. Oh, he heard my despairing cry, and from the water he lifted me. I was low down, I was dirty, I was sinful, I deserved hell, but he had faith, so he pulled me up from where I was. I come by to tell you, he had so much faith that one Friday on a hill called Calvary, he died for you and me. Died. Oh, he died, but he didn't stay dead. Early Sunday morning, early Sunday morning, early Sunday morning, he got up with all power in his hands. If you know that he did it for you, you ought to shout like you know it. You ought to holler like you know it. You ought to jump like you know it. If you know he did it for you, you ought to open up your mouth and act like a preacher. Throw your head back, stick your chest out, put your hand over your ear and say yeah, say yeah, say yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah! Oh! Oh! Yes! Yeah! 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 Uh-oh, I done got happy. Uh-oh, I done got happy. Uh-oh, I done got happy. Ain't the Lord all right? Ain't he all right? Did he wake you up this morning? Did he start you on your way? Did he put food on your table? Money in your pocket? Clothes on your back? Shoes on your feet? And the roof over your head? Well, if you know he did, turn to your neighbor and say, neighbor, I want you to know what I know. Say, neighbor, what do you know? I know he's all right. 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 All right. All right. Y'all better help me grab it. All right. Yeah.
Been good to me.